Hi, everyone, and welcome to Daily Revelations, this weekly Bible study where we dive into God's Word one book at a time. We're in the book of Genesis, and today we are starting Genesis 11. So each day of the week, we cover the same chapter. And for the whole week, we're going to be going through Genesis 11 and using different precept methods to just dig into God's Word and say, okay, God, what do you have uniquely to speak to me? And bring me closer to you. Help me worship you more, to help me understand you, to change me. God's not going to change, but we need a lot of that. So, and it gets us unstuck from the places that we tend to get ourselves stuck in. And that's really what God was talking to me today about, and just those places that we tend to stop and say, you know what, this is too big for me, and I think too big for God. But nothing's too big for God. And that is what we need to remember, is that God can push us past these painful places that we say there is just no hope, no solution in this. But yet there always is. So what am I talking about? So the precept method that I ask you to use on day one of our study and reading just through this chapter, you may have read through Genesis 11 before. You probably skimmed it because it starts out with the story of Babylon and then it goes into this whole genealogy thing and then it ends with this little bit. The little bit. That's what caught me today as I was reading through and just praying and saying, God, just show me something. Show me something I haven't seen before. And it talks about Tereh. Tereh is Abram's father, who later becomes Abraham. But he's not only the father of Abram, he's also the father of Haran. And Haran was the father of Lot. And we know about Lot, but we don't hear about Haran because Haran died. Haran died as Tereh felt this urgency to, or maybe even before this urgency came upon Tereh, to go into the land of Canaan. Now, the land of Canaan was a bit of a journey. You had to go kind of around a huge area of very inhospitable traveling. And so it took a while. And I don't know if I can show you on the map here. If you're watching on the video, this is kind of what it looks like. So right here is the land of the Chaldeans, where they started. And then Haran, named for Terah's son, is here, and down here is Canaan. They stopped in Haran. Now, it's interesting that that name is named, or that town is named after Terah's son that died, because he named it. He named it after his son, and that was where he stopped. He didn't go any further because the pain of his son's death, and you can tell if you name a city after someone and you settle there, even though you have this urgency to go further, there was things weighing on him that he just said, I can't go any further. This is where I'm going to stop. And I'm just in this past week, 2 people have shared with me their stories of child abuse, and just one who, it was a long story of forgiveness and healing to a place that now is a beautiful relationship, and another one that's just starting that process. And just as God reminded me of those stories that these people shared with me this past week, and that if we choose to stop and say this is too big for God, that there is so much of a story we're missing out on. It's the promises that he wants to give us that we can just bring to a complete halt. We can name it our pain and we can live in our pain. And that's exactly what Tereh did. Instead of pursuing beyond that pain to what God has. And I wrote myself some notes, but the one thing that I wrote down was that the enemy wants us to stay in our pain. That is his victory, to stop us. Because where our promises from God are, that is the victory that God can give us and the light we can shine in this world. But it is a difficult thing to get beyond there. It isn't just a cakewalk. It requires a lot out of us. It requires a lot of faith and trust and allowing God to heal wounds and for us to forgive when we don't really feel like forgiving. and a whole lot of other stuff in that boat. But there's something better beyond our pain. And God can work and heal through those things. I wrote a lot of things, but I'm only going to share that because otherwise I could go on for a long time. And just things that God led me to pray about after that. But I just encourage you, read through this chapter, see what God has to say to you, and know that if you're in a place where there's a lot of pain and you're struggling with that in your life, that God can work through that He can heal that. Don't put your roots down in the pain. Ask Him to help. You have faith, to have vision, to press through and have victory over that. Because God has victory over everything. We just need to trust in Him. Trust in His timing and how He's going to work that out. So just want to encourage you. Thanks for joining me on Daily Revelations. I'll be back again tomorrow as we continue our study through Genesis 11. Bye, everyone.